Hi, and welcome back to the Handmade Homestead. My name is Amy, and I'm so glad you're here. In today's video, we are canning some chicken broth. Last night we had some rotisserie chicken, and I put it in the crock pot overnight. I'm just straining off, or I'm taking out all of the meat and the bones. I've got most of it over in the sink, cooling off in a colander. I'm going to use this little colander to kind of catch any little bits as I put it into my sterilized jars. And here we go. When you're taking hot liquid and putting it into jars, even though they're sterilized, you want something underneath of them so that you don't get thermal shock. So I just placed a tea towel that's folded up underneath. Alright, so we're going to leave about an inch headspace, and we can put just a little bit more in there, but we don't want to put too much. If you don't have one of these measuring tools, I think it's called a debubbler, but it's got a, let's see, can you see those measurements on there, right here? So we've got, whoops, I have it upside down. We've got 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch. But this side is a debubbler. But if you don't have one of these, then you just simply measure using the rings around here. So this one being on the bottom, that's about 1 inch. And then I'm just going to take this and kind of go around, making sure there's no bubbles. And then I have to go grab my lid. Oh, nope. Almost forgot to wipe it. Okay, so I ended up having 3 quarts and 1 pint from, I believe this is, I don't remember if this is a 6-quart or an 8-quart crock pot, but we put 2 rotisserie chickens in it. So that gives you an idea of how much we made. Now if we had a bigger crock pot, or if I used my roaster, I could have gotten a little bit more. But lid, I'm going to take a paper towel and put a little bit of vinegar on it, and then take and wipe around the lids, because if anything is on this lid, these seals will not stay. And we don't want all of our hard work to go to waste. So we're going to make sure, I'm just flipping it over to use a clean side every time. Okay. All right. Now take these lids and just place them on top. And when you put on the ring, you are going to only do it fingertip tight. If your wrist has to twist, then it's too tight. And there we go. All right, I need to grab my jar lifter. And let's move you to the canner. Okay, so here's my canner. I have a little bit of water in there. This is how much my Presto canner takes for pressure canning. If you have a different pressure canner, please check your manufacturer recommendations on that. I'm going to turn this on so that the steam from that can just go on out. I'm going to grab my quarts. You'll notice that my water was boiling because I'm putting hot in hot. If I put hot and cold, you'll get thermal shock. I'm going to set my lid up with my dial gauge, and I'll be right back. Alright, got my dial on there. Now this little piece is what locks it in, and as you can see on the back here, well, maybe you can't, let me see. There we go. See that little locking piece on the back? That's how this lid stays on. I know a lot of people have concerns over pressure canning. And we're going to lock it and put the weight on. Now, you can see that this has already popped up, okay? That's just letting you know that the pressure is going to start building. So for this, we want 10 pounds of pressure. Usually for pints, it's 20 minutes, but quarts are 25 minutes. And I've done them together, and I've never had any issues or felt like it was over-processed. So we're going to do them for 25 minutes, but only once that dial gets to 10. We want to have 10 pounds of pressure so that we can safely can it. Okay, so we are at 10 pounds of pressure. I'm going to set a timer. For 25 minutes, and we're going to make sure this doesn't go too far above and definitely not under. If it goes too far above, I just turn the heat down a little bit, but this is the point where you really need to watch it, because if it goes below 10, you have to start your timer all over again, or your food is not going to be safe. Alright, our timer just went off. So we're going to shut this off, and we're going to let this come down on its own. It did get quite a bit above 10. But I don't let it get above where it's at right now. So you just want to turn the heat off. You don't want to open it. You don't want to touch anything. You just let that come to 0, and then you're still not going to open it until this falls down. That lets you know that all of the pressure is gone. And then you're technically supposed to wait 5 minutes, so we're going to wait 5 minutes after that. And that's just to prevent thermal shock again, because you're coming from a really hot environment to air temperature. So once that falls, we'll set a 5-minute timer, and then we'll take them out. All right, I'm gonna put on some pot holders because this is still warm. Take that little piece off. Make sure that any water falls back into there. I'll just set this over here for now. Okay. All right, so we're gonna let that cool, and then probably for at least 12 to 24 hours, and then you can take your rings off and then test them. There are two ways to test them. You can either push, I'm not going to touch those because they just come out, but you can push on them, and if they make the little pop noise, then they didn't seal. Or you can try to, after you take your rings off, pick it up just a little bit by the lid, and if it's sealed, it should not let go. Obviously, if it didn't seal, you'll be able to lift the lid off. But there you have it. Thank you for watching.